The essay that I beg you to read and contemplate, which will help you so much, not only with the imagery that I interpreted for you, but with the depth of vision that created this most astounding of all images of the divine. And it's an essay by a man called Ananda Coomaraswamy, and it was written in 1912, and it goes like this, one of the most beautiful paragraphs of it. How supremely great in power and grace this dancing image must appear to all those who have striven in plastic forms to give expression to their intuition of God and life. No artist of today, however great, could more exactly or more wisely create an image of that energy which science must postulate behind all phenomena. Nature is inert and cannot dance until Shiva wills it. He rises from his rapture and dancing sends through inert matter pulsing waves of awakening sound, and matter also dances, appearing as a glory around him. Dancing, he sustains its manifold phenomena. And in the fullness of time, still dancing, he destroys all forms and names by fire and gives new rest. This is poetry, but it is also science. And almost 70 years later, Fritjof Capra wrote this to try and convey the nature of the universe that was being revealed by quantum physics. And what did he choose as the image that reveals the nature of the reality that quantum physics is opening up? He chose Shiva Nataraja. And this is what he wrote. The dance of Shiva is the dancing universe, the ceaseless flow of energy going through an infinite variety of patterns that melt into one another. Modern physics has revealed that every subatomic particle not only performs an energy dance, but also is an energy dance, a pulsating process of creation and destruction, appearing and disappearing. For the modern physicist, then, Shiva's dance is the dance of subatomic matter. And as in Hindu mythology, it is a continual dance of creation and destruction involving the whole cosmos, the basis of all existence and of all natural phenomena. Hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created visual images of dancing Shivas in a beautiful series of bronzes. And in our time, physicists have used the most advanced technology to portray the patterns of the cosmic dance. The bubble chamber photographs of interacting particles which bear testimony to the constant, continual rhythm of creation and destruction in the universe are visual images of the dance of Shiva, equaling those of the Indian artists in beauty and significance. The metaphor of the cosmic dance thus unifies ancient mythology, religious art, and modern physics. So we've come to the place where the dance was danced for human beings for the first time. What the Shaivites believe is that in the center of the temple that you're going to visit tomorrow in Chidambaram, in the Chitsaba, which is a tiny hall which has a golden roof. In the central sanctum sanctorum of that tiny hall with the golden roof is the place where Shiva for the first time danced the great dance of eternal bliss. And so infinitely powerful and infinitely sacred and infinitely grace and bliss bestowing to those who approach it in humility and adoration. And there is an amazing, hilarious, wild myth behind this place. Because Chidambaram in the old days was a forest. And there were some very arrogant rishis, some very new age, arrogant rishis who had really come to the conclusion that they were far greater than the divine. And so Shiva decided to play a huge trick on them and conscripted Vishnu, his buddy, to join in the game. And so Shiva came to the sages and their wives in the middle of the forest as a dazzlingly beautiful beggar, naked. And Vishnu turned himself into a gorgeous girl called Mohini. Shiva came in the form of Bhikshatana, the naked beggar. And you'll see some of the most beautiful bronzes are of Shiva in this astounding, naked, wild, erotic beauty. And when he turned up, all the sages' wives went completely crazy for him. And I must read to you what this ancient text says about what happened, because this is so wonderfully funny, naughty, and erotic. One says, "Where are you off to, leaving me delusion as I come to give you alms, as the sun leaves darkness for night?" Another says, "Though I drink the nectar of your beauty, it's fire to my deluded heart. Make my wish come true." Another said, "Come hither." And another showed her firm breast to the holder of the begging bowl skull as they showed their way to their ashrams. And some said, "Do whatever you please, where you please. Anywhere on the ground can be home." And some declared, "O Lord, whatever piece of ground takes your fancy, even in another wood, take us to that ground." And the sages were, as you can imagine, absolutely demented with fury at the way in which this gorgeous man completely slayed the women. And they began to send different forms of black magic towards the naked beggar to try and destroy this wild, holy, erotic, embodied, divine beauty. Right? And as you can imagine, it did not work. So they built a great fire, and out of the fire first an extraordinary tiger shot, created by the flaming circles of the furious eyes of the sages. And it seemed to split open all the quarters with its roaring, and the sage lords hurriedly directed it against the auspicious Lord, who is the destroyer of all. And then Shiva Bhikshatana softly smiled and with his fingernail joyfully killed that tiger, which terrified everyone. And with that same fingernail, he cut off its skin and put it on. So he wears the tiger skin. And then a snake arose from the fire, unstoppable, its eyes blazing, a gem on its hood, terrible like a heap of darkness, hissing unbearably, directed by the sages, it rushed towards Shiva. The snake rushing at Shiva, a gem blazing on its hood, he made into a bracelet on his auspiciously marked hand. And then he began the first step of the dance. He began the first step of the dance. Having slit open the tiger and wearing the tiger's skin, and having transformed this terrifying snake into a bracelet, he begins the first step of the Ananda Tandava, the great bliss dance of creation and destruction, to show who they are dealing with their fantasy of power. And then, as one last wild attempt, they sent towards him something that is simply called a creature. As if the darkness that previously had been swallowed by those blazing fires was vomited forth again by them in a compact lump. They summoned up all their ego, all their hubris, all their craziness, all their mad lust for power, everything. Their very great discipline, but their very great madness had created. And the great Lord was about to begin his dance, but when he saw it, joyfully crushed it with his lotus feet and made it a footrest. They, finding him unconquerable by the highly dangerous means at their disposal, hurled the fire itself upon him. But he playfully caught it as it hurtled towards him with its ring of flames and kept it on his auspicious palm. And then the sages wondered what was happening. That's one of my favorite lines in mystical literature. And then the sages wondered what was happening, and overwhelmed by their anger, they threw mantras at him, and he caught the mantras used by the sages, made them into a heavy foot ornament of heavenly beauty, and put it on his foot. And then he began to dance the dance. When everything that they could possibly do had been exhausted and transmuted, the naked beggar began the dance. And it's so beautiful how it's described, this great dance. I don't want to go into the scholarly details, but there's a tremendous difference in which the dance in South India is represented from the dance in North India. And very simply, in North India, the dance is experienced as absolutely terrifying beyond imagining. But the glory of the culture that you are now saturated in, whose honey is seeping into your cells, is that this culture imagined the dance as supremely compassionate, absolutely riddled with fiery, honeyed grace that drove saint after saint after saint into ecstatic liberation. And that is the Shiva that you'll be meeting here in Chidambaram. And this is how the dance is described in the great scripture of Chidambaram, which I'm reading to you from. Then Mahadeva, his charming burden of matted locks swaying, concentrated on the Tandava dance, beginning gently, for he is an ocean of compassion. And then those sages who in their delusion had sent fires and mantras exhausted were briefly filled with alarm, feeling themselves weaponless. And then in a flash, with the great speed of his Tandava, they lost consciousness and fell down on the ground because they couldn't hold the glory and the wildness and the horror and the beauty and the amazing power of the dance of eternal bliss. And the dance continued. And when it had ended, he said to all the gods, to all other aspects of the divine that he was, he said, O Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, and you other gods, O great sages, because he was forgiving them. They were idiots, they were Republicans, what did they know? And he crushed them and he was resurrecting them. O great sages, listen. What I have to say has never been heard before. Praised by all the gods, my Ananda Tandava, dance of bliss, is the rise of the full moon from the ocean of supreme bliss. This dance that you will be blessed by tomorrow, that is worshipped and has been worshipped every single day since then, this dance that is the dance of creation and destruction, this bliss dance, is the rise of the full moon, the full divine vision, giving the full knowledge, giving the full grace, giving the full divine embodiment, giving full liberation. Right? The rising of the full moon from the great ocean of supreme bliss. And think of it as the symbolic form of Shiva, and with that in mind, set up a Shiva lingam in this very wood that is my auspicious dance hall, and worship it forever. Worship of this will be the sole cause of enjoyment and release. And by it, you will attain the supreme unending state. unobtainable by other means. So that is what's happening at all moments in the universe, but that is what is being revealed, worshipped, adored, and connected with in the Golden Hall, that you, from the blessing of many lives of karma, are going to see and be with tomorrow. Do not waste the chance to ask in the face of the Dancing Shiva of Chidambaram for everything you could ever imagine for yourself. But most of all, ask, I tenderly invite you, for liberation, for becoming the dancer in this life, so that in the middle of this great dance of destruction that is beginning now to get very ferocious, on this day that we're speaking, beginning on this day to be keen, to be very ferocious, ask for the revelation of yourself as a hologram of that dancer, saturated with bliss in heart, mind, soul, and every cell of your body, so your life can be your dance of birth in the middle of this dance of death. The dancer can do anything, and the dancer will give you that if you ask sincerely. That is what the dancer has given me in my many visits to this place. It is a place of stupendous power. So now you know. Have a wonderful time of it tomorrow. And I will speak of another secret on the bus, which is the key to what happens when the dancer says yes to your request. So you will know that you're not going crazy, you're actually going sane. So welcome to this absolutely amazing place. I'm honored and thrilled to be with you all. In whatever way that's natural to you tonight, from whatever has inspired you in what I've been able to say to you. Words are very limited in speaking of a reality so sublime. But in whatever has inspired you, remember to sum up all that you've experienced in this life, especially the beautiful revelatory things, especially the trances of ecstasy, the great moments of insight, the moments when your own divinity flashed upon yourself, and concentrate them all in your heart and ask before you go to sleep by saying Om Namah Shivaya just once before you just go to sleep, that you will be ready to receive tomorrow the most immense flood of grace that you could possibly imagine. And I just want to end with a very famous poem in a rather bad translation, but you'll get the point. It's very beautiful, even in this old Victorian translation. I wish I'd brought the one that a friend of mine had done, but I didn't. And I shall be forgiven for that, I hope. And it's by the Rumi of South India, a man called Manika Vashaka. And tomorrow I'll tell you on the bus how his life ended in the shrine itself. It's an amazing story. But we hope that we'll be alive tomorrow to hear it. And it's said in Tamil that if you're not moved by Manika Vashaga, you don't have a heart. He is, as Rumi is for the Muslims, Manika Vashaga is for the Shaivites. The key to the kind of wild, abandoned adoration that you need to be engoldened. It's called the bee's message. Hard-hearted thief, stiff-necked was I, but no such name he called me. My stony heart he melted, and by mercy he enthralled me. The swans abound in Chidambaram's lovely hall of gold, his dwelling. Fly king of bees, at his gold anklets hum. Tell him my message. Dog though I am, my Lord has set me his great glory singing. To me, the mad, his patient grace is always bringing forgiveness. He did not scorn me. He deigns to take the service I can do him, Mother and God. O King of Bees, hum this my message to him. Far would my heart and mind have gone from him, but he compelled me, the Lord with tangled locks and his fair wife, they saved and they held me. He is the sky, the mighty sea, the east, the west, the north, the south, and dwells in all, and his feet with honey drop. There, King of Bees, tell him how much I love him. In this world's treasure falls, I lay drowned and self-deceived. I held it for true treasure, but for his own he received me. My precious life itself is him. In Chidambaram's hall, abiding. Go, King of Bees, at his red lotus feet, lay these words of ecstasy. My precious life is him. In Chidambaram's golden hall, abiding. I wish with all my heart that you can taste what those crazy, sane words mean beyond words tomorrow. May your lives and my life be blessed incalculably, especially at this such dangerous moment where everything is at stake. How much we need the dancer's blessing and the revelation of ourselves as dancers, abiding always in that placeless place you visit as the Golden Hall tomorrow. Thank you. Have a wonderful dinner. I love you. I'm so happy that you're here. You deserve this beauty. Open to it. it will irradiate your life. Thank you so, so much. God bless you.